Boys, we're about to show you how Metro Boomin makes these dark, evil piano melodies for Travis Scott. Just like Niagara Falls, Raindrops, and Abracadabra. Let's go.
Alright boys, no time wasted. Gonna drag in Analog Labs. I'm gonna play around on the MIDI keyboard until I find something that I want to record in and play around with. If you boys have watched our more recent videos, you guys know that at the moment we're loving using this preset right here. Stock preset comes with Analog Labs under pianos. It's fucking sick. If you have a MIDI keyboard, use one especially for these piano melodies. It will just make your melodies sound so much more sophisticated and realistic, and it will help you out so much. Alright, so I'm just gonna play around on the MIDI piano until I find one that's sounding sick. I've come up with a bass melody there. Metro loves those dark sounding piano melodies. That works perfectly. Before I play it in onto the MIDI, because 100 BPM's too fast for me to play that in time and get it good, I'm just gonna slow it down to 80 BPM. It'll be a lot easier to play in. And also, because when you render out a MIDI file and speed it up, it just gives the piano a vintage effect, making it sound sick. So the MIDI's in now. So you can see here, because I've played it on a MIDI keyboard, the velocity is just completely all over the place, which is how we want it to sound because we want it to be realistic. Although there's this note down here. So if there's anything that's too extreme, you can manually bring that up or down. So I'm gonna bring that up slightly. I'm gonna bring this back and then quantize everything just to make sure it's hitting on time properly. So Alt Q, Control Q. So it might not do everything perfectly, so I'm just gonna listen to it back and change anything that's out of time. The only thing I've changed is kind of merely started on F sharp and it finished the first chord with an F sharp, so it sounded pretty weird. So I just brought that down to a B, left everything at F sharp. It actually sounds kind of cool. So I'm going to render that out. I'm going to keep it at 80 BPM because when I render, I want to speed it back up. So click here, quick render as audio clip. Now I can drag that back into the playlist and I'm going to route that to track 1. Alright, so we're going to turn that up a little bit, put this to stretch. First thing, we're going to go back up to 100. Slow that a little bit. Alright, in terms of effects for this, I've been pretty experimental with what we've been putting onto this recently, but we're going for a vintage feel. EQ, reverb, and effect rack I usually go to. So this EQ, just taking out the lows, taking out some of the highs, is really going for that vintage feel, which is just really taking up lots of those mids. A little bit of a reverb there, and now for the effect rack. Been using this plugin a little bit with the pianos recently. Last thing, we're just going to put a compression on it. Alright, pretty happy with how that's sounding. Now I'm going to slice it up in Fruity Slicer. I'm going to show you how we do that, and we're also going to pitch it up in there as well. First of all, we got to go merge clips. Basically all that does is it merges the piano with the effects, because if you don't do that, when you go to slice it up, it slices it without the effects on it. So you got to do that first. And then we right click on the waveform, we go Fruity Slicer, and then we're going to pitch this up. Just go 7 semitones using this knob here. Bring this up a little bit, bring all this up a little bit. We're going to chop half beat. Sometimes I go 1 beat, sometimes I go half beat. Half beat is just a faster chop, so you'll see it soon. Split by channel, bring that down, and here's what this piano sounds like now. So a little bit too high, but that's fine. We'll quick render as audio clip. I'm just going to pitch it a couple semitones back down. Drag that into the playlist, bring it up a little bit. We'll pitch it down to. We'll put a vinyl on. pretty happy with that piano layer. I'm going to try adding another piano. We're going to try with a different sound, see what we can come up with. Analog Labs again, we're going to drag that straight into the playlist. That's nice. These knobs can sometimes change the complete sound of the piano that originally comes up when you click the preset. So if you kind of like the sound of something, just play around with these presets. I'm sure you can find something cool. Got a rough idea. I've just got some broken chords I'm gonna play in. Alright, again boys, I'm just gonna slow the tempo down just so I can get it in time a bit better. And also again, same method. I'm gonna render it out and then speed it up. So we're gonna go down to 88. It wasn't the best playing, but we're going to fix it up on the MIDI. Boys, with the MIDI keyboard, it's really just that velocity you're going for to make it sound realistic. Because you can, you know, play with velocities and manually in FL Studio, but you'll never be able to perfectly change it to what a piano would sound like. Alt Q, Control Q. Perfect. I'm gonna quick render his audio clip, and now I can drag that back in and I can speed it up to 97 again. Because that first one's got lots of high end, I'm just gonna take out lots of the high end on here. Alright, just open up Fruity Convolver. The stock first preset that's come up sounded sick, so I'm just going to leave that on there. Turn the wet down a little bit, getting rid of these clicks that keep coming in. With that second piano, those high notes I added, I'm not happy with anymore because it's just clashing with that first counter melody. There's no big deal. I'm just going to go back into the MIDI, re-export it. Because I've already got the effect chain there, I'm just going to put it straight back onto that track. I'm just going to do that now. Just exporting that again, drag that back in. Gonna go on to track 3, pan going on there with that counter melody piano. We're just gonna add one last layer just for some low end. So we're gonna find another piano and then just play on some simple bass notes on the MIDI keyboard. Analog Labs. I think we're just gonna use this piano here. As usual, we slowed it down. This time we've gone even slower. We've gone to 71 BPM. And we're actually going to play 3 semitones down so we can bring the pitch up as well as the BPM, make it sound super vintage. You guys will see how that sounds soon. The second octave, I felt I didn't play very hard, so I'm just going to turn that up. Hold Alt, highlight what you want to move, and then use the scroll wheel, brings the velocity up and down. So now we can render that and we can pitch it up 3 semitones, stretch, turn the volume up a little bit and back up to 97. Nice. Even with no effects, that bass piano just sounds sick. Sounds so realistic. I'm gonna add some effects to make that even more vintage than it is. So get some of those lows. Alright, the bass piano is sounding pretty nice. So a perfectly balanced starter there. We've got high end, mid end, and low end. Someone's going to kill that starter, turn it into a sick loop. We know Metro would. Here are the most important takeaways from this video. Number 1, if you've got a MIDI keyboard, use one, especially if you're trying to recreate these dark Metro, piano, Travis Scott, melodies, whatever you want to call them. Please learn to use your MIDI keyboard. Number 2, keep your piano melodies simple. If you look at these MIDIs here, look how simple. It's just bass note, and 4 notes on the counter melody. Third, we've got the technique we showed you where you slow the MIDI down and then render it out, speed it back up. You can also pitch it up as well, which just gives it a vintage feel. You can pitch it up via this pitch knob or that one. If you chop it up in Slice X, we showed you how to pitch it up in there as well. In terms of the mixing, just go back and watch how we did it. Go for that vintage feel. Apart from that, boys, use those techniques in your own melodies at home. That's it for this video. We'll see you boys in the next video.